We are live. How you doing,
Hello,
mate?
I'm good, and you?
Yeah, very good.
Pumped for week 2.
So, welcome to today's live broadcast. My name is Drew Innes, the current CEO of Hello House, and this is the founder, Scott Agate. How you doing, mate?
I'm good. Nice to see you guys.
So great to have you here on this live call. Now, last week we talked about some interesting stuff. We talked about, what was it? Sort of.
You've forgotten already, did you? Couldn't have been that important.
What did we talk about?
Well, we talked about building the ultimate property shopping list, right? Which is the absolute foundation of, your property search. So starting off with that really strong foundation of knowing what you want, and then checking if it exists.
Yep.
So understanding that it is actually in the marketplace, getting laser focused, and then we talked about building rapport and staying top of market with agents. So I want to go a little bit further than that today, because I think the next thing to dive into after this is talking about, the speed at which you need to get to properties.
Yep.
So absolutely minimizing the buyer competition you've got by acting with speed and doing that. I want to talk about the right questions to ask at an open for inspection, the wrong questions to ask at an open for inspection, so you don't make mistakes and put your foot in it. Yep. Because, what is it, the old saying? What's said now, whatever you say can be used against you in a court of law? That's it. Is that how it's probably butchered, that quote, but you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. So whatever comes out of your mouth first when you're speaking to an agent is going to be used against you.
You can pretty much bet on that. It's going to be recycled and kept for a later date to be used against you to outmuscle you in a negotiation. So that's the second thing. And then the third thing we really want to talk about is really the importance of giving accurate and timely feedback to agents, selling agents or the private seller. It's really, really important, and it's something that, as I sat in the agent seat for over 2 decades, buyers just simply don't get this. No one talks about it. I've never seen anyone else say to them, this is what you need to do when you're dealing with an agent. But it is so crucially important to make sure you get future opportunities, and then the agents that you're talking to have actually got a better idea to fine-tune what you're looking for, so they can present better opportunities for you going forward.
Awesome. You know I knew all that, right?
Yeah, sure.
Because he gave me a sheet of paper.
I'm organised.
Right. So I'm going to be working off. I've got some questions here that I'm going to ask Scott, and so that way we're going to be able to give you some really great content, and I'm not going to forget what to ask him.
Sure.
And so now the headline of this call was the best buyers see more of the market and limit buyer competition. And I reckon that's awesome. And so why don't we just jump on in with the first question?
Sure.
Yeah.
Go for it. That's why I wrote them.
Okay, so do you want me to start here?
Sure.
Or over here?
All right. Start on the front page. That's good.
Okay. So we want to discuss how inspecting the property first reduces the chance of competing against emotional end users. So
I'll talk you through that. Well, we've discussed already last week, but it's important to say it again, is that up to 40% of properties in Australia sell pre or off market. So to define that, pre-market would be maybe a seller that is not thinking about selling and you approach them directly, or the agent does on your behalf, or someone that is looking to come to market at some point in the near future. I should say that's off market, and pre-market is someone that's knowingly going to come to market, but you get there at the photo shoot or before they start doing the marketing, and the benefit of doing that is that you're going to see a lot more stock. So up to 40% more choice is critical when you're trying to buy the right property. But the other big thing is that you limit the buyer competition. So if you're waiting to pay retail, what I call when you're buying at auction, once the property's been on the market and everyone's seen it on Real Estate or Domain or any of the websites, you're paying to play, really. Like, you're competing against emotional end users, and you've got no control over their budget or where that may run to when someone really falls in love with the property and they've had time to marinate on that property in terms of they really fall in love with it, go back, see it 2-3 times. And you've seen these stories play out every single weekend around the country, and it's been like that for decades. So the way to do it is to find these listings fast, pre or off market. That's going to give you a wider choice, so you've got options, which is important, and it's going to mean that you don't have to compete against 5 or 10 other really strong candidates that may fall in love with the property. It also means that you'll find the sellers that are motivated to sell quickly.
Yep.
So there's going to be sellers that have already bought elsewhere and they want to sell fast because they don't want to get caught exposed financially. You're going to get sellers that are nervous, which is a really common one. People that, if it comes to market, they don't want people going through their home, or they're really nervous individuals. You've got private people that don't want people trampsing through, or maybe they're sick, or they don't want people bringing COVID into the house. People that have got tenanted properties and they know the tenants are poorly presenting it, or access is really hard. People with dogs, with an aggressive dog, they don't want to have to move the dog all the time. There's so many things I've seen over the decades of my selling career which would motivate someone to sell. So getting to those properties is really crucial.
Yeah, right. So I mean, in the Buy Ready course, you talk often about, speed kills. And so this is what you're talking about now, right? It's like really not waiting to just stand in line and open for inspection, but actually, doing whatever it takes to get early access to a property, so you put yourself ahead of the competition. Yeah,
and if you look at it from the agent's perspective, they can tell in the back end of real estate or domain, when they go to win a listing talking to a seller, how many people are registered looking for that type of property in the suburb at any given time. So they can say, great, you've got a 3-bedroom house in Oatley, in Sydney, for example, and that's going to sell for whatever, 1.7 million. We can see that there's 20 buyers in the marketplace that are looking at that type of property today. Might be 200, who knows? And it depends where you are and what price point. But that's how many people are going to see it the minute it goes on real estate or domain. And that's instantly who your competition is. So speed to the open home or speed to the private appointment is crucial. So if you see something that comes up, and I mean, let's say, for example, it's common that a property will be listed on a Monday or a Tuesday because the agent, wants 3 or 4 days lead time to build up interest in the property before the first Saturday open for inspection. Now, if you see it on Monday morning, most people, out of those 200 people that we might have just said that are looking in Oatley, for example, are going to wait until 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock because they've been told to, because they're sheep. They're going to join the queue. Sheeples. They're going to join the queue to pay retail and an emotional premium with everyone else. The smart buyer is getting on the phone as soon as they see that listing in their inbox and say, hey, we've already got another property lined up. We're a long way down the path. We need to see this. You've got to create some form of urgency, and you've got to drive that inspection on your time frame. So you've got to say, when can I see it? Can I see it today, tomorrow morning? And this goes back to the point we discussed last week. If you're not finance ready, you can't have those conversations. So another reminder here that you absolutely must be finance ready before you start, because if you're trying to go out and dictate terms with agents and then you turn around and you got no money, you'll never be invited to an opportunity again with an agent because they know that you're full of it. So speed is really important. And if you can deal with the properties that are coming on market, like I just said, that's great. That's one thing, okay? And hopefully the agent will let you through there if you can control that narrative. The smarter way is to build the rapport with the agents and find those listings pre or off market. And then as soon as they flag it that there's an interested property, there's a property of interest, I should say, then you drive that really hard, exactly in the same way. So speed is paramount to buying success.
Well, we talked about that last week. We gave some insights, and I also posted it in the group, the downloadable PDF document about the BCC trick. In terms of being consistent with that, so you stay top of mind with the agents. You're obviously doing that, as Scott just mentioned, finance ready, because if you're not finance ready, if you've got first mover advantage, you're never going to be able to take advantage of it.
Correct.
And so all of that is really tied in together. And so, mate, I just want to, can I do like a little insert an ad here?
Okay. All right, I'm worried.
Don't be worried. So it's something that we've been talking a lot about the last couple of days, and that's the paradigm shift with buyers getting buyer ready concurrently at the same time that they're getting finance ready. So that's my little ad insert. And I use the term like a paradigm shift because if you think about the way that people buy property today, the very first thing that they do when they think of buying a property is get finance ready. It's just the way that it's been done forever and a day. You go out and figure out what your buying capacity is. But, buyer ready is a whole new concept that bridges the gap between finance ready and being able to transact and perform, through the conveyancing phase. And so that's what buyer ready really is. And so for you guys that are part of the buyer ready group and you're on this call, you're already making that paradigm shift. You realize the importance of, why finance ready and buyer ready go together.
Absolutely.
Yep. End of advert.
Yeah, good insert. Well done. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank
You're adding value.
All right, so let's dive in. So now, would doing a drive-by as soon as you've been, sort of given the property address, expedite the buying process?
Absolutely.
Talk me through that.
Yeah, absolutely. So these are the things that you should be doing. So, we've got some really great buyers that we work with that are actioning these steps that we're coaching them, and they're finding that there's a big shift in how they buy property. People that have come to us that have been looking and missed out 2 or 3 times, and then apply these little simple tricks, and they're all free. They're all easy things to do at no cost, and it changes their property search instantly. One of those is a drive-by. So if you see something that an agent flags with you and says, hey, 12 Smith Street's coming on the market, or about to, or we just looked at this one and that might suit your criteria, or it's about to come on the market this weekend and it's on Real Estate or Domain, get out and see it already. So go drive past it, go peek over the fence. Don't climb over the fence. That might be highly illegal and get you in trouble. Certainly not on my advice anyway. But if you...
Well, knock on the door first and
knock
make
on the door
sure
first.
No one's home.
Exactly, yeah. But you've got to, you've got to take advantage of this stuff. And other buyers are doing this. They're acting with speed. And they're driven because they've missed out 5 or 6 times. They're learning after 5 or 6 times that they've got to change their behaviour. Otherwise, they're never going to land a property. So these people that are starting out today, that are 7 months behind, the industry stats, they're going to make all these mistakes and slowly learn. You don't need to make those mistakes. So one of the key things is get out and see it, drive past it. You can look at, flood mapping, fire mapping. You can get an understanding with online tools about where the value potentially sits. You can be doing all that research before you physically inspect the property so that when you see it, you can strike while the iron's hot.
Yeah, I'm thinking about one of the clients that we're currently working with at the moment in our full negotiation service, and everything that you're talking about sort of comes into play now, because this particular client, did the drive-by, contacted us and said, I think I've found the one. And the very first thing we said to her is, have you inspected the property yet? And she said, oh, no, because the open for inspection's not until this weekend.
Yeah.
Right? And that's a great example of, what we've just been talking about. So the very first thing that we did for this client was called the agent and said, we'd like to get through the property before the weekend.
And it turns out the property was vacant, styled, and ready to go. And they could show it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So by the time she got there, other people had already been through the door. So it's a great learning curve to explain to them that you've got to be on the front foot because others that you're competing against are.
I think the key is you the more buyer ready you are, and the more you've made that sort of paradigm shift in your approach to buying, you're doing it on your terms. You're dictating the speed. You're dictating what you want to have happen next, as opposed to playing the agent game.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Let's keep going.
What's my next question?
Now, let me just get my sheet out. So,
professional actors can remember all these things in advance.
Oh, thank God I'm not an actor. I'm the real deal.
You're the real deal. All right, real deal.
So what else could you do to get in a better buying position prior to the first open home?
Well, I think
what's the hit list?
Yeah, we kind of talked about that just then. So I think it's you can do a lot of your due diligence online, and it's not going to give you an absolute accurate answer, but you're going to be able to do a lot of research to give yourself confidence around price and around the property itself. So the zoning, maybe height restrictions and things if you want to develop it or add any value to it, and whether or not, what the highest and best use of the land is. So those types of things you can do in advance. One little trick that I love that we've applied a few times and has worked really well for clients is if you know a property is right in your sweet spot. So I'm talking the people that really take the steps that we coach them to do here. They've defined the right shopping list. They're really sure of what they want, and they know it exists. If one of these properties pops up and you're like, great, I can't get in until Saturday, Everyone else is locked out until Saturday as well. But it looks exactly what I'm looking for. Right price range, right location, right street, the right side of the street. It looks like something seriously I'd be wanting to chase. And maybe even you've looked online and you can see the old photos. Maybe it's sold recently enough, like in the last 10 years, where there's decent photos and floor plan and stuff online to give you a really good idea of the condition of the home. I have coached clients to do a building and pest inspection prior to the first open for inspection.
Yeah, perfect.
Yep. Because no one else is going to be able to turn up with the contract reviewed, the building and pest done, and at that first open for inspection, you can literally walk in and give them a signed contract and walk out again. So if you want to be in the absolute best position you possibly can, spend the $500 or $400, whatever it's going to cost to do the building and pest. Another little trick to this, which will just make, it's like a cherry on top, is book the building and pest before the Saturday if the agent will let the building and pest guy come through. And typically they will. They won't let all the buyers come through, but they might let a building and pest person come through because they don't have to present the home perfectly. When you do that, turn up unannounced at the end of the building and pest report, okay, like 5-10 minutes before they finish, because very likely you'll get in.
Yeah, amazing.
Because you spent the money, because you're there and you just happen to turn up, there's every chance you're going to be able to get in and see the house. And then all of a sudden on the Wednesday or Thursday, you've not only read the contract, done the building and pest, physically inspected the property 48 hours before anyone else is even going to get through the door.
Yeah, you're ready to perform.
Yeah.
Yep, great tip. Okay, so let's discuss what actually happens at the property inspection or open home.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's a whole checklist that we've got in the Get Buy Ready course of things that you should be looking for.
What sort of questions should you be asking though? Like, how do you hold yourself? How do you, like, talk me through that whole process? Like, what's your demeanor? What questions do you ask? Are you aloof? Are you engaged?
Engaged, definitely.
Yep.
Confident, if you can be.
Yep.
Not arrogant.
Not
arrogant. No, the agents don't like that. Leave the arrogance to the agent. That's their job. But what you don't want to be is a dick. All right, so you want to smile, be friendly, and you want to ask direct questions. Don't be a dick. That's just something good to live by anyway. Don't be a dick.
I've got a sticker on my helmet that says "Don't be a dick."
Yeah,
it actually means take care. Don't run me off the road.
Exactly. Well, in this instance, it means smiling, asking polite questions, and just being a nice person because you want to build rapport with that agent and for them to treat you with respect back. The types of questions that you need to ask, though, should be very specific. It's not fluff. You're not asking, what paint color is this on the wall or whatever else. You want specific questions that are going to help you formulate the ultimate offer later. So that's what my goal is. If I go to an open for inspection, I want to ask you as the agent the questions that I'm going to then recycle back in my offer later to get rid of all the negative points, to make my offer stand out, to make my offer be the right fit for your needs as a seller.
Yeah, okay. And can you give me, obviously,
some examples of that?
Well, a lot of this is in the course, so we don't want to give away the cherry on top. But just give me an example of a couple.
Well, the first question I always ask is what will buy it, and then I shut up because very often. Yeah,
that is such an obvious question, but I bet you 9 times out of 10, average buyers wouldn't even dream of asking a question like that.
No, most buyers will ask, what's the price range or what are you quoting? Which is just a stupid question, really, because it's irrelevant. And as we know, price guide's not worth the toilet paper it's written on, as I say. It's got no relevance to market value, so there's obviously no point really even asking what the guide price is, because if you don't know the market value, then you're out of the game already, and you're going to overpay when it comes crunch time to negotiate. So don't ask what the guide price is or what the range is. Ask what will buy it, and then shut up and wait for the answer and to see if they flounder and they make up a story, or if they give you a very distinct, quick response that you believe is them telling the truth. So that's a key one for me. A lot of buyers this is certainly in New South Wales anyway. When I was an agent, it's not applicable right across the country for people listening in or tuning in from other areas, but in New South Wales, agents give out a lot of contracts at the request of purchasers at open homes, and most of the buyers ask, how many contracts have you got out? And that is a pointless question, because no agent's going to tell you 20 or 30, because it's going to make it difficult for you to feel like you want to get involved, because you feel like it's already going to get away from you on price. and no one's going to tell you 0 because they want to create competition. So the standard answer for an agent is 3 or 4. So asking a question like that, you're just going to get a loaded response.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean anything. You're not learning anything. So ask what will buy it. Ask what the seller's motivation is. So have they onward purchased? Do they need a specific settlement date?
Yep.
Are there any particular inclusions and exclusions? I mean, there's a long list in the course, but these are just some of the top of mind ones. Is there anything wrong with the property or that needs repair? Because the agents have got a duty of care.
Yep.
So if they know there's a giant hole in the roof, they need to tell you that. Or if there's termite damage, for example, on the fence, and they're aware of it, they need to tell you that. So ask those questions to put them in that position. And then I always ask, is there a previous DA that's never been activated? Or a current one that may be outstanding on the property, or any neighbouring properties where there's a DA that may impact my privacy and enjoyment of that property as well.
Awesome.
That's a deeper question that a lot of people would forget to ask, but it has a big impact on the property, both for the value that you could add to it, that a lot of people don't think about, or the impact someone else adding value to their home next door may have on yours.
Yeah, awesome. And just a bit of a shameless plug. Where's the ultimate list of questions to arm yourself with an open for inspection? In the Get Buy Ready course. In the Get Buy Ready course, yep. So it's all there for you, unpacked. It's all there. It's all unpacked. The ultimate list of questions that you should take with you and obviously learn, because your demeanour has got to be confident, not staged. You've got to be engaging, but you can't be... What about those buyers? Can't be a dick. Can't be a dick. But what about those buyers that walk in and go, oh my God, this is exactly what I'm looking for. I love them as an agent. They're my favourite. Come to me. We've got to buy it. Yeah, the ones with the giant bullseye on the forehead, they're the best ones for agents. And yeah, you want to be... We talked about being confident, right? So there's a difference between going through an open home and saying exactly what Drew just mentioned there, and really being OTT about how much you have to have this property and how it's perfect for you, or walking in and saying to the agent, hello, Mr. Agent, this home looks like it ticks all the boxes for us. We're really interested in it. Please keep us updated with any progress on the sale, and please forward us whatever relevant paperwork we need or whatever. So you're absolutely flagging your interest in that home at that point, but you're not saying we're desperate or we're beginners, and we haven't got a target on our head that we're going to overpay. So confidence and definitely being upfront about your interest in the home. Yeah. Okay, so we've given some insight now into the types of questions to ask and those to stay away from. So give me an example of how you would, maybe use that back again at a later date when you're dealing with the agent. Definitely around the settlement side of it is really important. Okay. Inclusions and exclusions in the contract as well. Understanding whether or not I can use a 5% or a 10% deposit. Yeah. Understanding whether we could use a 5-day cooling off or a 10-day cooling off or a subject to finance clause, depending on which state you're in, of course. So just asking the right questions enables me to determine what the right fit is in terms of how we're going to transact. The right offer to formulate. Yep. And the ideal scenario when you're making an offer is to reduce the amount of conditions or reduce the amount of speed humps, I say, to getting the deal across the line. So if I'm going to go in and say, hey, Drew, you're the agent. I say, Drew, I love this property. I'll give you the 550 grand that you want, but I want 90 days settlement. It's got to be 90 days. Well, you turn around and say, well, that's great, but I've got another 550 offer from someone else, and they're going to meet what the vendor wants, which is 40 days. So we're selling it to those guys. Yeah. You just got to think, you can't always dictate terms. The seller has got particular onward plans. It might be that they need longer to go and purchase a property. Yep. They might be that they want to settle fast, so they've got the cash to buy another property, but they need to rent the property back for 3 months off you. So if you can give them flexibility, if you ask these questions, you can formulate the ultimate offer and make sure you've got the best chance of getting your deal across the line, because it's not always about money. The terms plays a big part in any deal, in any transaction. Yep. We won one yesterday, 3.75 million in Sydney. We saved our clients 100 grand. Saving aside, that's a win. But the way that we won that property is we had another buyer that was basically willing to pay the same amount of money. Yep. But the vendors specifically dictated December the 7th as a settlement. Yep. And they specifically requested that they want a settlement after January. So it's like, okay, well, you're not going to win because we've both offered the same amount of money. We've given the owner what they wanted. You've given the owner a problem or a headache. Yeah. So they went with us, in that situation. So not only did we get the terms right, but we also saved the client 100 grand in that situation below the target price that they set. So it's about knowing the seller's
interests or wants, and hitting those, ticking them off.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, so that just comes back to asking the right questions.
The right questions.
The
Absolutely.
questions are the answers. So what should our buyers, prepare for after they've been to an inspection? What's going to happen for them next?
Well, you're going to get
or how do they prepare? How can they be prepared for the agent doing the callback and how they conduct themselves?
Yep, that's what I was going to say. You're absolutely going to get a phone call from an agent, sometimes on the same day, but typically the following day. So if you've gone through on a Saturday, the agents will always be furiously busy on a Monday doing all their callbacks, and they need the feedback from buyers. They need accurate market feedback from real buyers to condition their seller to the market. So, if they've got a seller that's at 1.1, for example, and everyone's telling them the home's worth $1 million, if that seller wants to actually transact, they're going to need to hear that feedback and get the word direct from buyers to make a decision about how motivated they are to meet the market and sell. So the agents, to do their job, have got to get accurate feedback, and they've got to get it in real time, because otherwise it's going to hinder the job that they're doing. So buyers typically don't return our calls on a Monday. When I was an agent, they would dodge any questions. They would refuse to answer phone calls. Mainly, they were really hard to get. And when you did talk to them, they gave really shitty feedback because they just didn't really care, because it wasn't a property that was of interest to them.
Yeah.
That is stupidity at its greatest, because the agent is trying to understand what it is you're looking for and why this property didn't suit what your needs are. They're trying to help you at that point, as well as they're trying to help themselves by getting the property sold. If you hinder the process and you don't allow them to do their job, they're not going to help you find a property. And if you don't tell them what you're looking for and why that one didn't work, and again, be confident. Say, it wasn't for me. Thanks so much for showing me through. I really appreciate the opportunity. It was really close. On paper, it looked like it was going to be right, but the back just wasn't quite wide enough, or it didn't get enough sun into that rear pool area, or too many trees at the back dropping onto the grass in the pool. Whatever the reason is, give them the honest feedback, because that agent's going to go, thank you for the feedback. I get it. It's not for you for those reasons, so I'm not going to hard sell you into that property, because I know it's not going to fit. But that's going to give me a really good idea of where I'm going to call you next. Yeah, exactly. I know now that 12 Miss Street's not the right spot, but 18, Tom Street might be.
Yeah.
Because that's got the best pool, and it's got the trees that aren't impacting the, dropping all over the water, and whatever the reason.
This week I got a bit of insight into how you used to run your whole, system around your database. And how you used all your colour codes and made notes about all the people that came in and inspected. And
I'm big on tech.
Coloured Post-it notes and marked up pens. But he had a system, and I had to smile, because you wouldn't want to have got on his shit list. Because if you were a buyer and you were on his shit list, there's no way he's going to be giving you any pre or off market listings. The next time you come to an open for inspection on a property that may or may not meet your criteria, the agent is not going to take you seriously. And so it was really insightful, you sort of talking about what you used to do as an agent, and how you used to rank people and what you perceived their ability to perform was.
Yeah, because you're dealing with, your property search only as a buyer. So you're seeing it through your lens, you've got the blinkers on.
Yeah.
I'm dealing with 200 people on a Saturday. So I'm taking notes, I'm color coding you, and I've got so many buyers to workshop that, if we perceive you to be a waste of time, or a tire kicker, or someone that is just not going to go out of their way to help us do our job, you're just not on the call. We're just not priority for us. We'll call you if we don't have any other buyers. Of course, we're going to service our sellers and get the best possible result we can. But you're not on our priority list for when we know there's a hot off-market listing or something like that comes up. We're going to call the people first that are good to work with and genuine. Yeah,
that's the old Pareto principle. That's
I love Doritos.
The 1-to-1 and the 1-to-many. So we know that there's really that top 5% of buyers that conduct themselves in a professional manner, and a buyer ready are the ones that are going to perform.
Absolutely.
And so, good stuff. All right, so mate, we've been rabbiting on here a bit. Have you got any more?
You have. I was adding value the whole way.
So, what happens I think you've covered this. You've talked about what happens to buyers when they don't sort of call and give accurate feedback. Is there any sort of last tips or tricks or anything that you would want to share with us to wrap up the call?
I think we've pretty much covered it in terms of the speed kills, the accuracy and the timely manner in which you've got to give feedback to the agents and then asking the right questions.
Yep.
I think the only thing that we probably missed out at the Open for Inspections is when you're talking to the agents, it's not robotic, right? Like it needs to be done in a conversational manner because you want to build rapport and you've got to have personality along the way. So you don't just want to sit there with a list of what's this answer, this answer, this answer, this answer kind of thing, because agents want to engage with you, and the more you talk, you'll actually find out a lot more.
Yeah, right.
So you've got to do it like in a casual way,
because casual conversation.
If you get them talking, they'll often tell you more of the backstory, which is going to help you. So don't be robotic in the way that you approach this. And the other thing that we didn't touch on is if you're at an Open for Inspection, for example, rather than a private buyer inspection, and you want to ask those questions, it may not be the time or place to do it. You don't want to go through, if there's 40 people in a studio apartment, you don't want to sit there with your list of questions. Number one, blah, blah, blah. Number two, you've got to, pick your time and place, because again, you want to have a proper conversation with them.
Yeah.
So if it's not there, make a call with them. Say, can I call you in 20 minutes after this, or can I call you at 2 o'clock, or whatever it is?
Yep.
I've got some specific questions. We've got an interest in this home. So take it offline as such.
Yep.
Do it in private. And then really engage with them and try and get as much as you can out of that conversation.
Yeah, I mean, it's still sort of showing that you've got just some interest, and they're going to take you seriously.
Yeah, and it shows that you're thinking about it the right way, and they take you seriously as well, because people will ask those silly questions and you can tell they're a beginner buyer. But the people that ask genuine questions, you can tell straight away they're a serious buyer, and agents will give you more time instantly.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, cool. So, my take on, there's a couple of things, like in the Get Buy Ready course, there's a whole section dedicated to the topic, the agent is not your friend, right? And so it's not a negative slant on the agent, it's just spelling out the obvious. We represent the interest of buyers. We want to make sure that you're buyer ready, yeah? But you have to think about the real estate agent as a tool to help you get what you want.
Absolutely.
Right? And so if you don't use that tool correctly, you're not going to get what you want. And so your conduct, your behavior, your professionalism in dealing with an agent is going to get you a long way there. But at the end of the day, you still have to remember they don't represent your interests, they represent the interests of the seller.
Yeah. So they're a good resource to utilize definitely in your property hunt. But but be really structured, and as you say, remember that they're employed to extract an emotional premium out of purchases. So you've got to keep it at slight arm's length with disclosure and those things, so that you don't end up having that hurt you later on in a negotiation.
Yeah. So like you keep your frenemies closer.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, that's
a wrap.
I think that's a wrap.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. We look forward to seeing you next Wednesday.
Yeah, and what about a special offer? If you're not buyer ready, you haven't actually acquired the course and you're thinking about getting the course, pop a comment down below, and if we get enough comments there, we may release a special discount coupon code for the people that are in this group that are on the fence about whether they actually need this or not. But from our perspective, we really believe that buyer ready is actually closing that gap between finance ready and conveyancing, and the statistics are horrendous out there for people that aren't buyer ready. I mean, buyer ready is the solution to those sort of industry statistics that we've shared a lot.
Absolutely.
All right, so pop a comment down below if you're interested in getting a discount coupon code. We'd love to get you in the course and work with you as one of our clients.
Yeah, and reach out next week or anytime during the week so we can discuss it next Wednesday if you've got any specific questions about your property journey that we can help address along the way.
Yeah, absolutely. And what we'll be doing coming up too in the future is, maybe picking someone from our community and actually working with them specifically on their deal and creating a case study around that, so we can really have them as the case study to the perfect transaction. And so that's something that you want to, think about. We'll only be working with those people that are in the Buyer Ready course.
Cool. No props.
Awesome.
See you guys.
Bye for now.